Hello, everyone. I'm back again, and today I wanted to talk to you about the different types of spender that you could be, and oftentimes how you spend dictates whether you will overspend. I think you should recognize the type of shopper you are. Once you recognize that, you can actually make adjustments to spend your money in better ways and avoid useless spending. Also, you can curb those feelings that may lead you to impulse buy, which could also save you money. But first, you have to ask yourself some questions. Are you an easily influenced person? I know I have been many times in life. Sometimes I still fight that urge to be easily influenced. It could be seeing your favorite entertainer or your favorite influencer promote a product, and you're just like, I've got to get that, especially if the person is relatable. So these are some questions to ask yourself. It's a list of 5. And once you ask yourself these questions and you know the answers, you can make better decisions moving forward. So here are the questions. Let's go. Question number 1. Are you easily influenced? How do you determine whether you're easily influenced? Well, the first question to ask yourself in the "Are you easily influenced" category is, do I see things that people I admire, I follow, I look up to and respect? Do I try to obtain the items that I see them using and or promoting? And a good test for this would be just to go in your beauty room or your bathroom, wherever you keep your products, and look at how many things that you purchased that were not from you just being in the store browsing items, but were due to the fact that you saw someone else use it and decided, I should try this. Then ask yourself, how often do I use this item that I purchased, that I went out and spent my hard-earned money on? Am I using it regularly? Is it something that's currently part of my beauty routine or fashion routine or etc.? If you see that you are buying items that you saw someone else use, but you don't necessarily use them yourself regularly, that probably was not a good spend. It was not a good use of your money and resources. And you should think long and hard when you're watching or being influenced to buy items, because you may be a person that's just easily influenced to try something when you relate to someone or you admire someone. I have had to ask myself this 1,000 times. I've bought items or bought subscriptions to things thinking that, oh, well, this person uses it and I relate to them, so I could probably use it. And then months down the road, I'm paying for said subscription, or I've paid for said item, and now it's just sitting and collecting dust and I'm not using it. And that was a waste of my money. It was a waste of my resources. That money could have been diverted somewhere else. So if you are a person that is easily influenced, check your habits, check your spending, check the items that you've purchased, I'd say in the last year, and how many of those items were an influence by from someone you know, admire, follow, etc. If those items are predominantly from one of those reasons and you're not using them, then that's something to keep an eye on in your spending habits. Next question. Am I a serotonin shopper? What do you think a serotonin shopper is? Well, serotonin is a feel-good hormone. So a serotonin shopper would be someone who shops to make them feel good. Are you a person that goes out for retail therapy? Are you a person that finds that just going out and spending money makes you feel better inside, even though what you're buying may not be something you need or even use? You just want to spend money. You get a high off of just going in the store, browsing and shopping. if you are a serotonin shopper, you should recognize that and try your best to realize when you're in situations where you are serotonin shopping, where you are spending money just simply to make yourself feel good, just as a boost. And I say you should keep an eye on that because those effects are usually temporary. You don't get a lasting benefit from it. It's just a feel good in the moment type of thing, similar to how an addict would use drugs to make themselves high, feel good for the moment, but it wears off and it goes away. If it is not something that's bringing you a permanent benefit, or it's not something that you're buying because you need the item, or you just want to spend money. You just want that feeling that comes with spending money. I have done this many times. I was a retail therapy addict. It just made me feel good, but it was so short-lived. It was just momentary. And the benefits that I got out of it, yeah, I got a benefit in the moment. I would come home with my bags and that high of buying whatever I bought that day. But at the end of the day, hours later, maybe the next day, all of that high that I got from just spending money, it went away, because what I found is I was just buying to buy. Sometimes I bought the same thing I already had that I already wasn't using. So it was a double waste. I've already bought it the first time and didn't use it, and went out and bought it again and didn't use it. So that's just something to know about yourself. Again, these are questions that you just ask yourself to know what kind of shopper you are, because as G.I. Joe would say, knowing is half the battle. Now, I was really bad on this one. The self-esteem shopper. Are you a self-esteem shopper? I have been a self-esteem shopper for quite a while. In fact, this is probably the one that I battle the most out of all of them. Trying to buy things that make me feel validated. Validated to who? It could be coworkers, it could be friends, it could be family, but I'm buying to feel like I have this and therefore I'm good. I'm someone you should like. I'm someone that is on your level. Some would put this in the category of keeping up with the Joneses. I don't necessarily think it's always keeping up with the Joneses. Sometimes I think it's us wanting to be accepted. And I think when you've grown up in a low income or poverty situation, you're more susceptible to this because you see items as a status symbol, and attaining those items makes you feel like you are better than you were before. I really believe that highly, because I think that's where my feeling of that stemmed from. It was like, oh, okay, if I get this, if I have this, then I have reached this pinnacle and people will look at me different. They'll treat me different. I'll be better. I'll be good. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. I don't care if you're Gucci down to the socks. It's not. It doesn't change who you are fundamentally. It may make people look at you and say, oh, well, that person has these things, so, they may have money. They may have that fleeting thought, but it's not what you think. It's not that they're going to look at you on another level. They're just looking at you like, some of them are even looking at you like, this person spent that much. I would never buy that. I would never spend that much money on that. And they may have more than you, and looking at you like you're crazy. because you have designer item this and designer item that. Do I still indulge in some designer items? Yes, because I like them and I use them. But it's few and far between, and it's something that I deeply consider and ponder before spending my money on it, whether I'm going to actually get any use or benefit out of it. Because if I'm going to buy something and it's just not going to be used, I just can't see the point in buying it at all. Like I can't see where that helped me or uplifted my life. And this is also true on the flip side. This can be true with aesthetic too. I think when you are not conventionally attractive, like myself and others, you try to buy things, especially in the beauty category, that you think is going to make you one step closer to the status quo. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I see it. I would always buy things trying to improve how I looked, maybe make myself more acceptable, more fit into the mold of what that looks like to the world. And it doesn't work either, because at the end of the day, you are who you are anyway. And those items, once you take them off, once you remove them, once they're washed away, you're right back to the same person. Now, I mean, you can get permanent changes. You can get permanent changes to yourself, but I mean, that's a personal choice. So, and if it brings you joy, if it's something that actually literally lifts you up, that is your personal decision. But you have to make those decisions based on contemplation, real thought, not a fleeting desire to be something else. And as long as you have made a calculated and very informed decision of what you're doing, then that's all good. But my point here is, don't do things just because you think they may be able to help you in some kind of way or may make you feel better about yourself. Because if at the end you find it doesn't make you feel better about yourself, what good did it do? Oh, the good old lifestyle creeper. Are you a lifestyle creeper? Are you a person that you make more money only to spend more money? Every time you get a raise, you're buying something else, usually tied to either that serotonin fix or that self-esteem fix. And then you end up being just as strapped for cash and just as messed up in your finances as you were before, even though that boost was supposed to do something positive. It was supposed to like help lift you up a little bit out of that situation. I have been a lifestyle creeper for many years, and only recently, I'd say in the last 5 years, have I been able to curb that whole lifestyle creep thing. It's a doozy. It'll get you, because you look at your money and you say, okay, well, I got a little bit of extra money coming in. I can, I want a nice newer car. I want this or that. And again, mine was always tied to one of those other categories, either for joy or for self-esteem. It was tied to one of those things. But I would do it. I would get it. I would buy it because I had it to do. So I thought. But ask yourself, was I, I made it through last year, but was I in the situation I wanted to be in? Okay, now I have this money, extra money coming in. If I spend all that up and I'm literally on the same playing field, did that improve my quality of life? Am I able to do more? If the answer is no, adding that thing, adding that bill, adding any of that brought you right back to where you were, yeah, it's that is lifestyle creep. You are simply buying more, doing more, even though you have increased resources. So the more money you make, the more money you're going out there and just blowing. I have done it. It is that one is probably, even though I've fallen into the other categories, this one was the one that was the toughest to break. And how I found to break it, you'll see in my other video, that my most recent video, I actually started taking my raises and putting it toward my retirement. That way I couldn't touch it. I didn't see it. I didn't even start getting it in my check. It curbed me from doing what I was inclined to do every single time. I would do it every time without fail. And that was the way that I broke myself from it. Now I don't miss it. Never saw it. So it's better. But watch out for that lifestyle creep. Watch out for getting that raise and spending it immediately. Look at your life and your situation. You may have a new item, but if you're still as strapped for cash as you were the year before, you just creeped up your lifestyle. You just increased something. You put yourself right back in the same situation. Not good. I deserve it. I deserve whatever I want. I deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve it. And I do. I do deserve it. I work hard. I deserve whatever can be afforded to me. I do. But I have to be cognizant of what I can afford versus what I deserve. I deserve a Porsche. I deserve $5 million in my bank account. I deserve it. I feel like I deserve it. Don't care what anybody thinks. I deserve it. I've worked all my life, it feels like. But I don't have either of those things. And the only one I can control is the second one. Now the Porsche, it may bring me temporary joy. Now the $5 million in my bank account, I could try to get there. I could try to get as close to that as I can. But that has to come with me making and taking active steps to get there, to try to save to get there. That is not something that is going to just magically happen for my situation. I was not born into a family of wealth. I was not, I just wasn't blessed in that way, as many of us are not. And so even though I deserve that, I got to work for it. I got to work to do that. I got to work to try to get there. Will I say I'm going to get there? I don't know. Maybe not. But I can try to get as close to that as I possibly can. But that's going to take some sacrificing. I'm going to have to actively try to put myself in that situation. So if you're a person that just gets stuff because you feel like you just deserve it, and I'm not saying you don't, because I feel the same way you do. I deserve it too. Because I'm worth it. But are you taking the right fundamental steps to get you to that place? Are you taking the right steps to get you to where you're trying to go? If you're not born into wealth, you have to make calculated decisions to get to that place. I'm not saying you can't, because I have seen everyday millionaires, just everyday people who work everyday jobs, normal, but they started early trying to get themselves to a place where they were financially sound, even rich. But that took sacrifice, and it took an effort to get there. Like, they had to actively be trying to save and invest, etc. So if you're one of those I deserve it people, if you're an I deserve shopper, I say yes, you do. You do deserve it. But try to take the time and the energy to get yourself there in a way that, number one, doesn't get you in jail. Okay. Number two, that affords you the ability to have maybe some of your wants, but be willing to sacrifice for what's later down the road and what you'll achieve by then if you put in your efforts to getting yourself there. And don't put yourself into debt right now and be a slave to a lender because you think you deserve it in this moment. Sometimes we deserve things, but it's going to take time to get them. And you have to be willing to wait until it's your time. That's all. So that is all I have today. Hopefully it was enjoyable, and you may have gotten some tidbits of how to determine what kind of shopper you are, what kind of person you are when it comes to your money and what you spend it on, so that you're not as easily influenced to do things that are to your detriment, and that you're making smart and informed decisions of how you spend your money. And it brings the most joy to your life, usefulness to your life. And that is all I got. Enjoy your night.